because he's just like, this was the last thing he would say when I would leave after the big ball twisting speech. He would go, keep your grades and your draws up. He was a superlative human being. All right, maybe one or two more questions and I'll send some books. All right, well, these three people, because I was kind of, yes, boom, 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 like that, and there. Hi, in the back. Yes, you.
Well, first, you think your dad, have you seen the movie Lisa the South?
Oh my God, I cried hysterically through the entire film.
It makes me think of that.
Oh God, I love that movie. And you know, remember you're gonna say, here's why I love Lisa the Southern Wild so much. Because that father seemed so cruel. And then you just saw like unfolding in front of you a father who was like, I've got to make a tough little girl who can survive. Not just specifically the bathtub, but the world without me. I mean, I was thinking about it. It was just such a beautiful film, right? And I was like, I'm going to that girl's house and kidnapping her from her parents because she is adorable. I mean, that would make me want to, well, not really, but I kind of wanted to be there. Okay, go ahead.
And then the second thing is, what was your very first favorite video game? And what was your first one that made you were so obsessed with you couldn't stop playing?
Ooh. So I started as an arcade player. And so there was a laundromat across the street from my house that had a Defender game that nobody could fucking get on when I was in that place. Nobody. I mean, I just would line up the quarters and just own that thing. So that was my first video game that I loved playing. But I also played video games a lot with my father. So we would play Miss Pac-Man a lot together. He still does it. Sometimes he'll go and he'll find a Miss Pac-Man machine and he'll hold the phone up and like always playing, which is really cute. He would also take me to this amazing arcade. It was like a 200 theme arcade downtown San Francisco across from the bus terminal where I would take the bus to and from school every day. And it was also a really great way for my dad to get free, daycare, because he would just go, here's $20, don't talk to strangers, Dad's got a date. So I just stayed at the arcade so they came again. Then I was a PC gamer for a while. Well, then after that I begged my dad for like a little Nintendo, like LCD Donkey Kong, which I don't know, you beg your parents for that shit and you never fucking play it. Why do kids do that? And then my first PC game, God, I guess I got back into PC gaming with Tomb Raider, but my favorite PC game was actually the Mist and Ribbon franchise, which I thought was brilliant. Oh yes, you can clap, it's an amazing. Even people who don't like video games love those games. They're like super beautiful and puzzle driven. I'm such a gamer that like, literally now, I'll be in the real world and be like, man, this looks just like this. Like, come on. I was in DC, we were in the DC subway, and I was like, man, this is just like Fallen Free! Or maybe, yeah, whatever. And when we, years and years ago, I was gifted a Halo, gifted an Xbox, and I remember not being afraid to set it up because I knew what it would mean. And then it was the end. And the gateway drug was Halo, and yeah, I played so many hours. I used to come home, when we started playing this game, I would come home from work, and I would go, oh. And then we would just play like hours and hours. I just remember thinking it's 4 in the morning on a Tuesday, I have a mortgage, why the fuck am I playing video games? But yeah, that was definitely the game that got me back into gaming. But I will say, I like that franchise a lot, I play a lot. That's pretty much the only game I play multiplayer. But sorry for everybody here who doesn't like gaming and is like, why is it happening to me right now? But I love the Gears franchise because it was so the cooperative, it was so good. I play a lot with my husband. And with Halo, it's just super hard to get laid after you shot your husband in the face like 30 times. It is like a boner killer. And there's always so many times you go, I didn't know that too! With Gears, we could be a team, and it was just much better for our sex life, so. Okay, who's here? Hi.
Hello. So I'm kind of new to podcasting, and I absolutely adore listening to Girl and Guy.
Yay, thank you.
So honestly, as a starting reporter myself, I really love hearing your stories of like absolute failures and like how like shit got real and just
Shit, it does get real, right?
But I was actually curious about. I remember watching kind of like the Twitter wars of when 4chan like really shut up Felicia Day, who I think is like one of those amazing comedians.
She's the greatest. Yeah, she's the sweetest.
When you keep her in my pocket, if you're curious.
She can fit in her pocket. She's like a finished person.
My question was, have you seen any sort of
to say something about failure when this is all done before I sign off. So the question was whether I've seen a paradigm shift in like the conversation about gaming. Yeah, I actually do feel like I'm seeing a paradigm shift. Long story made longer. So when I for people who don't know, for the last 2 years I've been the presenter, the host of Ubisoft's E3 conference, which is where they unveil all their games, all their new games for the year. And I'm the only woman who's ever done that. Period. I definitely don't know whether like usually have some presenters, but no one was ever hosted an entire E3 conference. So it's pretty awesome. And I'm really proud of it. I feel like there's a paradigm shift there. You know, a lot of people. So last year I did the first time. A lot of people. There's a lot of supportive people, but it was probably 50% positive, 50% negative. And a lot of people. What a lot of people were saying, in addition to the typical stuff the internet says, because the internet says essentially just porn and hate, is. You know, I don't care if anybody says I'm ugly or stupid or not funny or too tall. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I mean, the world is full of assholes. But what was making me crazy was that people were claiming that I didn't play video games. Oh, that's because you never touched a controller and then it took my And I remember just being so piqued by that specific thing that people questioning my gaming cred that I wrote this like ridiculous rant about it, and I posted it on Facebook, and I really did not think anybody was going to read it. I thought the next time someone tweets that I'm not a real gamer, I'll just like refer them to this page. And then the next day, it was the cover of Reddit. It had been translated into 3 languages, which was really weird. Also, I mentioned Ubisoft's a French company, but it was very, very surreal. And the response to that was overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I would say like 99% positive, because I think there were so many people who felt that way who weren't able to express it, and were able to show it to their friends or show it to haters and stuff like that. And the dialogue, I think, since then has become more vigorous, but I think there's also been a dynamic slowly going towards people just kind of, I don't really understand, like I don't really get like the idea that somehow like your gender makes you like less valid, I don't even understand, like you're a girl so you aren't able to like video games? I don't even, like, some of the people come up to me, like, someone just tweeted actually a couple days ago, like, oh, you just say you're a girl gamer and like, just fucking, like, who cares? And I was like, I've never said I was a girl gamer. I'm a fucking gamer. Period. Go fuck yourself. I like shit the same way you like shit, man. We have eyeballs and fucking brains. Like, it's so dumb. So, but I do feel like there's been a paradigm shift. You know, there's a lot of conversations in the gaming world about misogyny in video games, about misogyny in the gaming world. The world's full of assholes. But I do think that the more people just talk about the fact that they love to play, which is the thing that gamers all share, is a love of gameplay, period, the better it'll get. I actually had a guy come up to me at my last reading in San Francisco, or somewhere, or was that? New York. And he said, you know, I'm a video game developer and I'm trying to write a strong female character. Do you have any suggestions? I said, just write a great fucking character. You don't have to make her like she's strong and then like, who gives a shit? Just write somebody awesome and then give her boobs. What's a character that you want to play? What's a character that I would like to play? And then I'll make her a girl, and then I'll give her normal sized boobs and not boobs that would crush her under the weight. So I do think there's a paradigm shift. I think people need to engage, and I think people need to question other people's questioning. So when people say girl gamer to me, I just go, I don't know what you're talking about. I just like to play video games, same as you. And also, I'm not going to defend myself. I honestly don't really care that much about 1 or 2 or 10 or 30 dum-dums tweeting. There's millions of other people that feel the same way I do. And I feel like these dynamics are moving around us in the right direction. We're part of a wave. So the more that you just talk about how much you love gaming and how much you know, when you become part of a community, I think that in and of itself, just playing and saying you love to play, is changing the conversation. So I do think it's changing, absolutely. Yeah, you know, there are a lot of like big dynamic conversations about, you know, gender and sex in this world. And I think those conversations are important to have, but I actually think they're fringe conversations. Like, they need a Circassian conversation. I think it's a good conversation to have, but honestly, I think it's a really like intellectual area that like high atmosphere conversation. And I don't know that it's necessarily changing fundamentals on the ground. That doesn't mean it's not important to have. It's like deep ecology is great, but fucking recycle your bottles, asshole. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to talk about like big global ideas. Like, just do your part. So that's how I feel about this. It's like, it's great to have esoteric conversations about it, but there's like a real, like, everyday tactical effort that we're making, which is just be a part of the community. And then also, if you're online and people are saying awful things, just call them on it. You know, just call them on it. People say the worst things on Xbox Live. I don't think most of them are racist or sexist. I just think they feel unfettered, the way that people feel unfettered by the internet, by anonymity, to say the worst possible thing you can think of, and most of the time that's something sexist or racist. But most of the time you meet them and they're probably not that person, but just don't let them get away with it. A lot, whenever I heard it, I was like, are you fucking kidding me, you idiot? Aren't you in 3rd grade? Go to school. All right, over here. I just get cursier and cursier as the night goes on, isn't it fun? Yes, you.
I've been kind of obsessed with your podcast. I found it about 5 months ago.
Thank you.
Going through all the old ones.
Thank you.
It's so fascinating. But I gotta tell you, I'm amazed. You don't cut or edit. That's like
No, I
one
don't.
take.
Just one take. I cut if somebody gets up to pee-pee.
It's unbelievable. And I get
Thank
so
you.
caught up in the like rapid fire, pitter patter that I sometimes actually talk to podcasts and I'm like,
My work here is done.
I love them so
That's
much.
lovely.
Thanks for coming. I became a premium member today. So.
Thank you. Welcome to the Vanguard of the Army. The thing that I wanted to do, the one thing I knew I wanted to do when I set out to make the podcast was to give people a singular experience with people that they admire, meaning that they will never hear this kind of interview anywhere else under any other circumstances. That's my goal with this show. That if you love an artist or an athlete or a chef or an author, that my interview will be the best interview that you will ever hear with that person. That is some hubris-filled shit right there. But I have an opportunity, right, to get someone alone for 90 minutes and ask them about their lives. And people love to talk about themselves. And after about a half an hour, things start to fall away. They really start to be very, very honest. And I have, without exception, and every single guest say, I've never told this story to anybody before. I've never said this in an interview before. And that's always my goal. And one thing I'll say about that, and I'll say something about failure, and we'll sign books, is that I did just want to set out to make a fun show. You know, fun show that people would laugh at and enjoy. But what's happened in many cases, and if people have listened to the Christmas show this year, the New Year's show that was the awesome all-listener question show, people have written in with extraordinary stories. One guy wrote it, I had a comedian named Joe Coy on my show who had severe acute sleep apnea. And he was talking about how he's Filipino. And he said, I was a terrible driver, and I just thought it was because I was Asian. And these are his words, these are not my words. Don't look at me like a furious guy. He said, and what I realized was I was so tired that I was constantly having micronaps behind the wheel. I would run off the road because I was falling asleep all day long without realizing it. I went in and I got, this CPAP mask, and it changed my life. I lost weight, I slept in the night, I stopped wrecking my car, my relationship with my family improved. So we had this great conversation. He was a lovely person. I had someone write in and say, I listened to your show, and my wife and I realized that she had acute sleep apnea symptoms. We took her to the doctor, and the doctor examined her, and she had 3 heart attacks. And he said that if I hadn't brought her in, she probably would have died. So thank you for that episode. I had another guy who said, I lost my mom last year to cancer, and the one thing that we shared, the 2 things that we shared were that we both listened to your podcast every week together, and talked about it, and we both watched Archer. And then the day that she passed away, we were listening to a podcast and talking and laughing about it, and that was something that we had together before she died. When you set out to make something, whatever it is, whatever you're doing in your life, no matter how small it feels to you, if it's meaningful to you, it's probably going to be meaningful to somebody else. And that's one essential element of this show, is that whatever the thing is that you want to do, that you see in front of you and you can't figure out how to get there, just start moving towards it. Because chances are that something that's meaningful to you is going to be as meaningful or more meaningful to somebody else out in the world. And there's just no reason not to go for it. The last thing I'll say is that a lot of people say, wow, it's really interesting that you were so brave to write about failure, about all your failures. What I would like to say is that this is not even a comprehensive list of my failures. This is a curated selection. But I wanted to write about it because I wanted to let people know that the reason I had something to conclusion of the show, and I have my guests tell us something doing stories that successful people seem maybe like magical people, right? Like elves or unicorns, like they fell out of the sky and they're special and they're perfect. Most of them are just people who, when they failed, didn't stop. That's the only difference between success and failure, is that people who are successful keep going after every failure because they realize that failure is not the end. It's just an aspect of development. It's just a part of success. There's no way to get to success by avoiding failure. Failure is inherent in the path to success. And if you're not failing, you're not risking, you're not innovating. Failure is an inherent, indivisible aspect of being alive. It should be something that you don't want, you don't want, but it should be something that you embrace and that you learn from, and that hopefully, if something happens to you that's explosive, you immediately go buy all your friends drinks and tell them an awesome fucking story about how it all went down. So that's why I wrote the book. I really appreciate you guys coming out tonight. It was really nice talking with you. People who watch me on the talk, I'm sorry I curse so much. It's just who I am. I apologize. And that was Sense of Books. Thanks for coming out.